Let's have a quick look at homeostasis. Homeo coming from homoios, the Greek meaning like or similar, and stasis, just the English word meaning static or stationary. Now, I should actually just give a quick shout out to Nathan and Braden. Here they are here. That's Nathan. That's Braden. Quick shout out to them for no other reason than they just keep nagging me for a shout out. So here you go. Shout out to you guys. Now, back to homeostasis. What is it actually? Well, homeostasis is the ability of an organism to maintain the internal environment of the body within certain limits that allow it to survive. It also refers to the self-regulating processes that return critical systems of the body to a set point within a narrow range of operation so that the organism can survive. Now, it should be pointed out that homeostasis does not keep things perfectly steady. It's more of a dynamic equilibrium. Let's take a quick look at a little seesaw. So this seesaw, let's keep it steady with our homeostasis, but we're not talking a perfectly horizontal, not moving seesaw. There will actually be some movement. One end could go up or could go down. The other end could go up, could go down. So there is actually some change occurring, continuous change actually, but overall, relatively uniform conditions prevail. So homeostasis results in a dynamic equilibrium of different conditions within a fairly narrow range, because metabolic processes can only take place in very specific physical and chemical environments. So homeostasis is the regulation of that internal environment. Now, there are three components to homeostatic regulation. They are the receptor, the control center, and the effector. Now, receptors are constantly surveilling conditions to detect changes that take conditions outside of the normal range. So we have a stimulus, some sort of changing condition. The receptor or sensor sends information to the control, and the control sends a message to the effector of what to do about it. Now, this is actually a negative feedback loop, because what we're after doing is counteracting or negating the change from the stimulus. So if we walked into a really, really cold room, the stimulus would be the much lowered temperature, and so we want to counter that by generating more heat, by warming ourselves up. So we're trying to counteract or negate the change from the stimulus. That's why it's a negative feedback loop. There is such a thing as a positive feedback loop, which is more the case of more. So whatever the stimulus is, the ensuing effector will amplify the stimulus. So like I say, more. But homeostasis uses negative feedback loops. Whatever condition is changed, we want to negate that change to get back to our normal conditions. Now, homeostatic circuits tend to involve two negative feedback loops. One is activated when a parameter, be it body temperature, etc., is above the set point and is designed to bring it back down. Another is activated when a certain parameter goes below the set point and is designed to bring it back up. So, of course, changing conditions, it could change one way or it could change the other. We need to be able to respond to both of those. So homeostatic regulation actually has two negative feedback loops. Let's just have a quick look now at a couple of examples of homeostatic regulation. Here is a body, and it's at normal body temperature, so 37-ish degrees Celsius. You don't have to be 37. Young people will have a higher core temperature, older will have a lower core temperature, and it fluctuates throughout the day, but we generally say 37-ish degrees Celsius is the normal body temperature for humans. But of course, it could fall, it could decrease, and it could rise. Body temperature can go up or down. This is why I was saying we need two negative feedback loops depending on how the conditions change. So let's look at what if the body temperature rises, we get too hot. Well, you may have noticed when someone's really hot, they might look a bit red in the face. This is because the blood vessels dilate. That means they open up. This allows more blood to be taken closer to the skin, where heat can radiate away from the body. So by blood vessels dilating, I mean the blood vessels closer to the skin. Also, sweat glands do their thing and secrete their fluid. They secrete sweat. this evaporates. Now, the evaporation of sweat, well, it requires heat to do that. Now, where do you think that heat is coming from? From your body, from your skin. So as the sweat evaporates, heat is removed from your body and you are cooling down. So both of these lead to heat being lost to the environment, and you return back to your normal 37-ish degrees Celsius body temperature. Now, the opposite of that, body temperature could fall. Maybe you suddenly go to the Arctic, so you're really, really cold. Well, your blood vessels will do the opposite. The blood vessels near the skin, they will constrict. They will get narrower to lessen the amount of blood coming near the skin. So that lessens the amount of heat being radiated out. So you may have noticed when people are cold, they go pale. That's because the blood vessels near the skin are constricting. Sweat glands don't do their thing. They don't secrete fluid because we don't want to lose more heat through the evaporation of sweat. But another thing that does happen is we shiver. Shivering occurs. Now, shivering is your body's way to do thermogenesis, because 80% of your body heat comes from muscle movement. So that's what shivering is. It's your muscles moving just a little bit, and then again, and then again, and then again, and then again, over and over. So small contractions, but repeated contractions, and this generates heat. That's thermogenesis, the generation of heat. So that's another way that our body warms us up. So these things occurring, the blood vessels constricting, the sweat glands not doing anything, shivering, the repeated contraction of the muscles. This means that we're generating and retaining heat, and that will bring our body temperature back up to that normal 37-ish degrees Celsius. So those are the two negative feedback loops with regards to body temperature. Another example that often comes up is that of blood glucose level. Now, you need a certain amount of glucose in the blood, but you could have high blood glucose or low blood glucose. Let's look at the high condition first. Well, insulin is released from the beta cells of the pancreas. Insulin is a hormone that triggers cells to take up glucose. It allows the glucose to pass through the cell membrane of cells so that it can be then used in cellular respiration. Another effect of insulin is to have glucose removed from the blood and stored in the liver as a molecule called glycogen. So insulin allows the blood glucose to be absorbed into the cells, to be taken into the cells for cellular respiration, and to be stored as glycogen in the liver. And both of these are removing glucose from the blood, so the blood glucose concentration decreases and brings us back into the normal range. When the opposite occurs and we have low blood glucose, the alpha cells in the pancreas release a hormone called glucagon. Now, glucagon causes that glycogen in the liver to be broken down into glucose, and that is then released into the blood, which raises the blood glucose level and once again brings us back into the normal range. So those are our two negative feedback loops for homeostatic regulation of blood glucose level. So there you go, a very, very quick rundown of homeostasis, just a quick look with a bonus shout out to Nathan and Braden.
Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment.